Most people would agree that a future where we are a spacefaring civilization is inspiring and exciting compared with one where we are forever confined to Earth until some eventual extinction event. That's really why I started SpaceX.
Some men have ambition that boundaries cannot contain. Alexander the Great sought expansion, conquest, the unknown. Much like a Caesar presiding over Rome, Elon Musk has built an empire. As Smart Cookies production starts Chapter 3 of the journey to becoming the richest man in the world. Elon is about to bag $175.8 million from the sale of PayPal to eBay in October 2002, cashing in on his work starting X.com back in 1999.
Just like yours.
I think we're at the dawn of a new era, and I think it's going to be very exciting.
Not yet the richest man in the world, Elon had aspirations that were out of this world. Even before the deal was done with eBay and the money was in the bag, Elon was dreaming big. SpaceX was founded March 14, 2002 in El Segundo, California. Elon had conquered the internet, considered to be the new frontier of the 20th century, but it was the 21st century, and Elon was always looking to be ahead of the pack. Elon's philosophy: if you need a job and can't find one, then it's time to start one.
I guess I'll have to start a company because I can't get a job anywhere.
How much of your personal fortune have you poured into this?
$100 million.
Looking to achieve the first commercial spaceflight in 2002 seemed like a laughable aspiration to many. SpaceX launched with the mission of reducing space transportation costs and to enable the colonization of Mars. Back in 2001, Elon had a vision. He wanted to land a miniature greenhouse on Mars as an experiment in an attempt to regain public interest in space travel.
His plan was bizarre. Put a greenhouse on the rocket, land it on Mars, and beam back the pictures.
It'll get people really excited, and that would recharge human space exploration. That was my original idea.
Musk wanted a rocket, and when you need something that a normal person should not own, you go to Russia. Making his way to Moscow with aerospace engineer Mike Griffin to check under the hood, looking for a Depnar rocket, hoping to find something cheap and refurbished. As often the case, anything is for sale for the right price, but the pair returned empty-handed after failing to find a suitable rocket that would fit their budget.
And when eBay bought PayPal in 2002, Musk started looking for ways to launch his new fortune into orbit.
I went to Russia to look at buying a refurbished ICBM, which is a very trippy experience. It was very bizarre. And when I tell people that, they're like, what?
What would have seemed like a failure to many turned into an opportunity for Musk. On the return flight home, he realizes that he could start a company making affordable rockets. The ideal for SpaceX was born.
He decided that the only way to get an affordable rocket was to build it himself. And he started SpaceX.
The odds of me coming into the rocket business, not knowing anything about rockets, not having ever built anything, I would have to be insane if I thought the odds were in my favor.
Elon knew that if he could utilize vertical integration using commercial components that he could easily acquire, he could streamline the process, using the same processes he had with his software engineering that had proven so successful. Musk truly believed that he could significantly reduce the cost of space travel. Thus again, using the philosophy, if you can't find what you need, make it.
People who've been in the rocketry business for decades, who say about you that you don't know what you don't know.
Well, I suppose that's true of anyone. How can anyone know what they don't know?
With his feet back on the ground, Elon goes to work finding the right people to make it happen. First reaching out to engineer Tom Mueller, asking him if he would like to join forces. Musk and Mueller agree to become business partners, and thus SpaceX begins in early 2002, choosing to locate their headquarters in a warehouse in El Segundo, California. Many of the first people to join the SpaceX team came from Boeing and TRW.
And we're looking for great people of all kinds to join the company, so if you're interested, please send us a resume.
Having two aerospace companies located nearby the SpaceX headquarters proved to be a valuable resource for a talent pool. Elon Musk would personally interview all of the new team members coming aboard. He had the goal of reducing the cost of space travel by a factor of 10, and he would need to ensure he had the most efficient team possible.
And then when I started looking at launch vehicles, the lowest cost vehicle in the U.S. is Boeing's Delta II, which costs about $50 million. And that's a bit steep, what we were trying to do.
Some of the first people to join SpaceX alongside of Musk and Mueller would be Gwynne Shotwell, chosen for her background in business and engineering, along with Chris Thompson, who had been part of the TRW team. SpaceX was growing, and by 2005, around 160 employees were part of the team, all personally chosen by Elon. With the SpaceX team in place, they get to work developing Falcon 1, their first orbital launch vehicle.
You know, there are American heroes who don't like this idea. Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight and the way that you're developing it, and I wonder what you think of that.
I was very sad to see that because those guys are, those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough. I wish they would come and visit and see the hardware that we're doing here. And I think that would change their mind.
They inspired you to do this, didn't they?
Yes.
Falcon 1 was an expandable, small lift vehicle, meaning that it could enter a low Earth orbit with a payload of 2,227 pounds. Before the Falcon 1 could even be completed, Elon was making bigger plans. He wanted to send more than cargo into space.
So what that tells me is that this was never intended to be only a cargo ship.
In 2005, SpaceX publicly announced their intention to pursue a human-rated commercial space program. As always, Elon had aimed for the stars, just in a very literal sense this time. But before SpaceX could launch people into space, they would need to prove they could even make it off the launch pad. March 24th, 2006, SpaceX attempts their first launch. Falcon 1 screams to life, lifting off the launch pad. Hopes are high as the flames bellow from the rocket, but those hopes are quickly incinerated when Falcon 1 fails 25 seconds into flight. A faulty nut and fuel line have led to a fire in the engine, causing failure. Undeterred, the SpaceX team goes back to work, attempting to turn failure into a learning opportunity. NASA still wanted to see what SpaceX could achieve. Despite their failure with their first launch attempt, SpaceX wins a $278 million contract for 3 demonstration launches. SpaceX attempts to launch Falcon 1 2 more times, all ending in failure. Elon was now feeling the pressure for a successful launch. He was running out of money.
But the first 3 test flights failed to reach orbit.
We are hearing from the Launch Control Center that there has been an anomaly on the vehicle.
When you had that third failure in a row, did you think, I need to pack this in?
Never.
Why not?
I don't ever give up.
September 28th, 2008, SpaceX has prepared Falcon 1 for another attempted launch, with the world watching the Falcon leaves the nest.
2, 1, 0.
We're in stage 1.
Liftoff indication. We have liftoff.
Heading toward the heavens, it makes it through the atmosphere and enters orbit.
Stage separation confirmed.
Falcon 1 has made history, becoming the first privately funded and developed liquid fuel rocket to reach the Earth's orbit. Eager to taste success again, SpaceX schedules its next launch.
If that fourth launch hadn't worked, that would have been it. We would have not had the resources to mount a fifth.
April 5th, 2009, with their 5th Falcon 1 rocket ready, it's taken to the launch complex. Only days before the launch was scheduled, problems arise and repairs need to be made. The launch is delayed. SpaceX releases a statement noting possible compatibility issues between the RazikSat spacecraft and the Falcon 1 launch vehicle, setting the next launch window between July 13th and 14th. When July 13th arrives, the weather is cooperating and SpaceX carries out its second successful launch of a Falcon 1 rocket.
2, 1,
Ignition.
T0, +1, +2, +3. We have liftoff of the SpaceX Falcon 1 carrying Raziksat satellite for ATSB.
Separation confirmed.
Lifting the Raziksat into its initial parking orbit. 38 minutes later, the rocket's second stage engine fired as hoped to circularize the orbit. The payload was successfully deployed. The Falcon 1 worked as designed. This would be the last time SpaceX would launch a Falcon 1, choosing to move on to the more capable Falcon 9 version 1.0, in development since 2005.
So what we're looking at over there, that's a quarter section of the Falcon 9 17-foot diameter fairing. It's 17-foot diameter, obviously, and 50 feet long. It's capable of taking the largest satellites in the world, and it could actually literally fit a city bus in that fairing. It's that big, because that's just a quarter section of it.
The Falcon 9 would first take to the skies June 4th, 2010, when it launched 4 Dragon cargo spacecraft. 2 of the cargo spacecraft were headed to the International Space Station as part of their resupply contract with NASA, 1 as an orbital test flight, and 1 for demonstration. May 22, 2012, SpaceX would become the first company to reach and dock with the International Space Station. The Falcon 9 version 1.0 would be retired in 2013 after 5 launches, replaced by an upgraded version 1.1 that took flight September 13, 2013. Always increasing payload and capability of their rockets, SpaceX had the world looking.
Stage 1 is transonic.
Elon's rockets could fly, but could they land?
Falcon 9 has landed.
He always made it clear he wanted his rockets to be recoverable. First attempting to make this happen with parachutes, this proved futile because the boosters burned up on re-entry before the parachutes could ever open. Going back to the drawing board, the SpaceX team starts to test prototypes starting in 2012. March of 2013, SpaceX makes a press release stating they will equip subsequent rockets with the instruments and equipment needed to allow for a controlled descent. They wanted to be able to purposefully decelerate towards a soft touchdown over a water surface at first, hoping to initially transition to a landing pad after enough testing, making their first controlled descent successfully September 2013. By April 2014, SpaceX attached landing legs. Finding success with this descent over water, they decided to remain cautious and continue to test their landing with a safety net. SpaceX would first successfully touch down on land December of 2015, breaking another barrier. They would continue to hone this. SpaceX would go on to successfully use one of these recovered rockets for a second spaceflight, March of 2017. They were then able to recover it for a second time. The concept was proven, as well as the engineering chops of the SpaceX team. Elon must have been proud. The vision from all those years ago was now closer than ever.
This is a little snack section. So we offer people at work here, get free snacks and drink, which is kind of a common thing in the internet world, but relatively unusual in the space world. And we think if people are working late and they need a snack or something, they should have one readily available.
Ground gas closeouts are complete.
Falcon Heavy is in startup.
Always dreaming bigger, the Falcon Heavy takes flight February 6, 2018, with some unusual cargo. Carrying Elon's Tesla with a dummy behind the wheel, the Tesla would serve as an artificial satellite and one amazing piece of marketing genius. Elon has always used the internet to captivate the public, attaching a camera to the Tesla, managing to live stream the car traveling through space for around 4 hours. When asked about the stunt, Elon said he wanted to show the public the possibility of something new happening in space. Americans had not talked about space exploration this much since astronauts drove Corvette Stingrays.
The NASA flight director and the SpaceX mission director have conferred and confirmed Dragon is in good alignment.
SpaceX has already docked with the International Space Station back in 2012, which was a very big accomplishment for a privately funded company. But in 2019, they would make history again, becoming the first American spacecraft to autonomously dock with the orbiting station. Always moving forward, in December of 2020, the Dragon 2 would launch with 2 astronauts aboard, headed to the International Space Station for a resupply mission, continuing to meet the obligations of their contract with NASA.
Do you believe that your rocket will be the next American rocket to take an astronaut into space?
I believe that is the most likely outcome, yes.
American astronauts are back in space, and they're traveling with SpaceX. I wonder if they charge for carry on. SpaceX is currently developing and testing Starship, a reusable super heavy lift and launch vehicle, first imagined in 2005 as a means of human space exploration. The development took some time.
Plus 30 seconds, Starship 15 is airborne as we get a view of the 3 Raptor engines as we're powering our way to 10 kilometers altitude in today's test flight.
SpaceX was able to successfully launch and land Starship SN-15 in May of 2021. SpaceX is perfecting the vessel that could possibly carry space tourists and so much more into the stars. With the first launch planned in 2022, NASA continues to look to SpaceX for their aerospace engineering expertise.
And Starbase Flight Control has confirmed, as you can see on the live video, we are down. The Starship has landed.
After the government also awarded Elon Musk's SpaceX the lunar lander contract on Friday night.
Making it official April 2022, NASA announced that SpaceX will be its partner to take the next American astronauts to the moon, expected to happen between 2025 or 2026. Will Elon Musk be able to use the lunar surface as a stepping stone to Mars? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Smart Cookies Production for the next chapter on Elon Musk and his journey to becoming the richest man in the world. Remember, when we started Chapter 3, Elon had not yet founded Tesla. See you next time when Smart Cookies Production plugs into Tesla for an electrifying Chapter 4.
How did you get the expertise to be the chief technology officer of a rocket ship company?
I do have a physics background. That's helpful as a foundation. And then I read a lot of books and talked to a lot of smart people.
You're self-taught?
Yeah.